Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Liz and today is going to be about the 25 life lessons I've learned in the 25 years of living. My birthday is tomorrow. I am a Virgo again. How many times I have to say this? My birthday is September 10th. Y'all excuse my wig if she's doing the thing, okay? I did not feel like doing my hair. This wig is subpar, I know, but we're just dealing with it. I'm gonna do my hair tomorrow for my birthday and probably my makeup, but we're just gonna work with her today. I'm looking at the mirror. So yes, so these life lessons are gonna be cheesy quotes you probably heard 1,000 times over in your life, but definitely very applied and very accurate. So let's get right into it. So a couple of these aren't like, you know, exactly cheesy quotes that you've probably heard. A couple of these are just life lessons. So the first one being, if you run out of gas, your brakes won't work, honey. If you knew this, if this was common knowledge to 90% of you, I'm just dumb. Obviously, if it's a gas-powered car, why did I think my brakes were gonna work? I don't know. I didn't even know they won't work. So I was literally 2 minutes from a gas station. I thought I would make it. Sadly, I did not make it. I was literally like at the top of a hill almost, and literally just down the hill was a gas station. The lights flickering when I tried to turn on my car should have been the indicator, like you're not getting there, but I thought I could make it. I did not. I have no idea about the electric cars like Tesla or the hybrid cars like Prius. I don't know. My brother's fiance was just like, why didn't you just hit the e-brake? I could have. I didn't think about it. I forgot. I panicked. But yeah, in that instance, you could hit the e-brakes, emergency brakes, and that should get you to stop at least and not rolling down a hill, because your brakes won't work. Moving on to number 2, just because they're family doesn't mean you have to keep them around in your life or even talk to them or even care about them. So the family members that I choose to keep in my life, they already know, and the ones that I don't, they already know. If they care, if it bothers them, I don't know. Again, that's not my business. The whole like, yo, it's still your mom, it's still your dad, it's still your this, that, and third. I don't care. I generally do not care. And if you call me heartless or coldless or whatever, I still don't care. Like, I really don't. You know, you haven't lived my life, you don't know what I've experienced, and just telling someone to just ignore all the trauma, hurt, physical, emotional, sometimes, you know, SA abuse, just to overlook it because it's your family member. You can F off, truly. But honestly, truly, like, I've had like people who aren't even related to me, like a friend or whatever, treat me better than my own family members. Truly, like, if one of my family members dropped dead, I couldn't care less. I won't say which one. I won't say which one, but that's none of your business. But I'm just being honest. I would not care. I just missed that one. So the number 1 was running out of gas. I skipped one, just because they're family. That was number 3. But number 2 was everybody is not your friend. Obviously, like, for some people, this is like common knowledge. Like, yeah, of course, you know, everybody's not gonna like you. Everybody's not gonna be your friend. But it's not until you're in a situation and you thought somebody was your friend, and turns out they're just using you for whatever financial gain, social gain, whatever. And quite frankly, I'd rather have my 5 good solid friends than have 100 wishy-washy, you know, acquaintances that I think in my head are my best friends, but to them, they couldn't care less about me. Particularly one instance, this is just, you can call this petty, but you know, it is what it is. In one instance, I invited a couple of my friends to come hang out with me, just to go for a swim in my pool or whatever. And you know, in my mind, they're like, okay, yeah, they're coming over, you know. And then I start texting them, they start ignoring me, and then I see on their social media that they are hanging out with somebody completely different, and it's just rude. It's not even like I care that they hang out with someone else. It's just like, well, if you wanted to cancel our plans, just say so. Like, my time is valuable, okay? And I'm busy. I've always been busy. So when I set aside time to meet with someone or to hang out with someone, it's because I want to be with them and I want to like enjoy their company. And if you could care less that my time means nothing to you, you're not my friend. Like, you're just not. So I've cut off people like that in my life because, you know, they're not genuinely your friend. They genuinely do not care about you in those instances. I'm just giving an example. But another example that I've heard and seen and other people experience, where it's just like those friends where it's like, oh, such and such is talking about you, such and such is talking about you. Okay, well, what did you say? Did you defend me, or do you just let them talk shit about me? Like, which one is it? Because when people talk shit about my friends in front of me, I defend them. I just do. I don't care who you are. Now, there are situations where I have friends that don't get along with each other and they talk shit about each other. So I'm not going to run back and tell such and such said this about this person. If it's just petty little stuff, you know. I've been in those circumstances. I have a friend that doesn't get along with my other friend or whatever, so they can express their grievances. It's never like it's never malicious. It's just like they don't get along with each other, and that's fine. Everybody's not gonna get along with everybody, you know. You're not gonna like everybody. That's another quote, but it's not a part of this list. So moving on to number 4, the person who will care about you the most is, surprise, yourself. There are times where even family members have not stood up for me in any regards and just let me go through what I was going through, and it hurt more because it was my family members who watched me get emotionally abused and just continued to let it happen and told me that I should take everything with a grain of salt because that's just the person that they are. One example, I was going on a trip with my foster family, and my foster mother decided to pay for everybody else's food besides me and told me to my face and my entire family that was with me, oh, well, I'm not going to pay for you because you're a waste. Like a food, money, and time. And then while we were on the plane to go to the said trip, she watched me eat the entire thing because I knew she was watching me, which is why I overindulged pretty much. Even though I'm a big girl now, I can't overeat. Like, it's a garbage plate. I can't. But I knew she was watching me, and I finished it on purpose. And when we landed, she was like, oh, you ate it all this time. So that's just one example of kind of the emotional abuse I faced in that specific foster home for like 8 years, and my own family members kind of just sat there and let me take it, and you know. But again, the only person that will stand up for you the most is yourself, because if it's not happening to them, they don't care. But I'm that type of person that will put myself before others any time of day. Like, I don't care. I really don't. And that's just me. And I'm not just like, oh, I'm the best person. I have my flaws. I have an attitude. Like, I have my things. But I can genuinely say I would put my feelings aside for someone else and do anything I can to help them out if I can. So I wouldn't let someone else go through that just to save my own ass, you know? That's just not me. Oh, I don't know if you can see, but this card, this is a birthday card from my coworkers. It's a cat eating a pizza on top of a pizza, and I just thought this was too precious to not. And there's like birds carrying the pizza away, and this pizza looks so delicious. I'm still on my 2-week liquid diet from my surgery, so I can't enjoy anything, and my birthday falls. You know, my birthday's tomorrow, and I can't eat until Monday, and tomorrow's Saturday, so I can't eat, I can't have alcohol, so I mean, it is what it is. I'm much rather happy that I have my actual surgery, my gastric sleeve, than anything else. But anyways, moving on to number 5, you never know what someone else is going through. So I would just say, like, this is an obvious statement you say to everybody, be kind. But honestly, be kind to everyone and anyone. If they're being an asshole and they're giving you shit, absolutely not. I will reciprocate that same energy if we're not in a professional setting and I have to bite my tongue or else I'll get fired. But if it's just like someone being nasty to you, like, I don't have to speak to you. We do not have to communicate. So, and I do not have to respect you just because, for what? And you're being nasty to me? Anyways, but as far as, let me just give you an example. So when I was about 12 years old, my house burned down, and my mom was away on a vacation to Egypt meeting some guy she met on the internet, and that's just the truth. That's just the truth. So my father was still working. He had a whole nother family, right? So my father was still working, so we were being babysat by, because I had like 4 other siblings, so it's me, my 2 brothers, my 3 brothers, and my sister. So 5 of us. So we were being babysat by my aunt and uncle. So not blood related, because you know how some Hispanics are, where it's just like, yeah, that's your tia, yeah, that's your tia, and Theo, that's just your aunt and uncle. But they weren't. But they were just my mom's best friends for years, which I later found out my dad did not want them watching us at all, which explained a couple things, which I'll get into in a second. But basically, our house burned down, and when your house is burning down, like you're not packing a bag, okay? I literally ran out of my house with no shoes on, and my brother was getting my dog Princess at the time, so they were just like, and we were at the back. We were living in the basement, so we were at the back. It was just like a long stretch, like imagine like a 1-story home. So we were just all the way at the back of the house, and we had to run to the front. And I was woken up from a nap, and there was glass shattering. I made a whole story time on it, but anyways, so I ran out the house, no shoes, pajamas, a sweatshirt, and just ran out the house. Somebody across the street just gave me a pair of shoes, like, oh my god, what size are you? Like, let's get something on your feet, because I was 12, I was a child. And anyway, so I had nothing to me. We were already poor to begin with, but I had basically nothing. So we went to the church that was on the corner, and again, I had nothing to my name. Besides the pajamas and a shirt or something. So we went to the church on the corner, and they had piles of clothes that everyone was digging through, and I didn't even have a bag to put clothes into. So I don't even think I went to grab, I think I went through that pile of clothes, but I don't think I really grabbed much. But anyways, this was over the weekend, and I still had to go to school the next day in my pajamas and my sweatshirt. And some girl decided to bully me in that instance, and she was like, well, why are you wearing pajamas, da, 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 like da, 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 da. Just going at me. Nowadays I wouldn't care less, but my house just burned down, and I'm currently living in a shelter. I had to get on a 45-minute bus just to get to school. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but I knew we had to travel from like White Plains, like a Yonkers high school or something like that. But yeah, and I literally just sobbed. I was so just over it, and just literally just lost my house. Obviously a house I've been in for 3 or 4 years at this point. So needless to say, I was emotional and I just sobbed. And then everybody came to the girl and was like, you know, her house just burned down, right? Like, I guess she felt bad. I don't know what she felt, but I just felt overwhelmed, and I just cried in the middle of the class. And it was just, I stepped outside and I went to go speak to my brother or whatever, and he was pissed because the person wasn't a guy, so he couldn't fight him. Like, 100% honest, he was livid, but I think he was even more livid because it was a girl who said it and not a guy. Because he would have fought him, quite frankly. And that's honestly a middle school story. I mean, your house burning down, it's pretty significant, but it's just a small example of, you never know what somebody else is going through at all. And I've been through a lot of situations. I can relate to a lot of situations, but I can't sit here and try to bully someone. I'll admit I have been the bully in the past in a couple instances. I'm not perfect, but as a grown adult now, I can't sit there and be like, I can't sit there and try to bully someone and shame someone because they don't have nice clothes, or they're wearing the same clothes over and over again. Like, what if they're in a similar situation and they can't financially support themselves to sit there and buy a $50 Gucci belt? Like, who really cares? Like, luxury items is just, it's such a nuisance to me, and the amount of importance people put on luxury items and having the ability to even purchase those things, it's just beyond me. But that's another rant for another day. Number 6, just because someone's your elders doesn't mean you have to respect them. Shocker. Is this controversial? Maybe. I don't care. Listen, if little old granny wants to sit here and be racist and defamatory and rude, I'm not going to be like, oh ma'am, I'm so sorry, I have a darker skin complexion. Like, I'm so sorry. No, you can get the hell out, okay? I can refuse service. I can do whatever I feel like doing within my professional standards, if this is but no, just because little granny hit 95 and she's still racist as can be, disrespectful, saying so rude things, I'm not going to continue to respect you. Like, you can get out of my house. You don't have to be here. I don't care. I was watching a YouTube video, Two Hot Takes, and they read Reddit story. I forgot the girls' names, I'm sorry. They did read a Reddit story recently. The grandma had moved in with the son, and the son has an adoptive child that has Down syndrome, and then like a, you know, quote unquote normal child. I don't like saying that, but just a child with no developmental issues or anything like that. They were sitting around and having dinner, and the grandma had gotten the kid toys, and then the father goes, oh, you know, which one did you pick out? And then the child with Down syndrome goes and says, well, I didn't get any toys. So the son confronted the grandma. Basically the grandma said, oh, well, you should put him in a home, like, oh, you should put in, you should put it in a home, you know, that's not even your son, whatever. The next day the son put that grandma in hospice, as you should. I don't even care. And I'm pretty sure it was just a straw that broke the camel's back, but she deserved it. You're not gonna sit here and tell me my son isn't my son just because he's adopted, and then come at him because he has Down syndrome. Excuse me? She deserved that. Yeah. And the other siblings were pounding on top of him. Oh, why'd you put him in a home? Whatever. Oh, you could take grandma. You could take her. I'm sorry, but that makes my blood boil. And that just goes into number 7. Respect is earned, not given. Moving on to number 8. Everyone should do a retail job or kind of a servient job, like some kind of job serving the public, just so you know how it feels. The next time you want to sit here and be rude to a waitress or a server or anybody or whatever the case is, just because you know they need this job, for one, for financial support, and you know they can't talk, you know they can't talk back to you because this is their job. Okay, so moving on to number 9. Sometimes the people who are closest to you will hurt you the most. But I feel like it hurts deeper when it's someone who knows you, who you think cares about you or does care about you, but not more than they care about themselves. And just society is, at least the society in America, it's very self-centered, which I understand, but it cuts deeper when it's coming from someone like a family member, a sibling, a mother, a father, or somebody consider a mother, a father, a best friend that you've been friends with for years. That's gonna hurt way more than some Joe Schmo on the street calling me a fat bitch. I really could care less. Again, I could, like, think of something new. Like, one example. I had same foster mother I was talking about previously. Again, it's no secret, I have bipolar disorder, and I've been diagnosed since I was 13. Just comparison, random person on the street calls me a fat bitch because they tried to make some advances at me and I'm not having it, and they're like 42 when I'm 12, and it's weird. Like, I'm your daughter's age sitting right next to you, but you're gonna call me a bitch because I decline your services, I decline your advances at me. Okay, compared to my foster mother, who told me she'd rather have me fat as a house than crazy because my medicine was making me gain weight, and then after I gained weight proceeded to judge me for gaining weight. So, like, confusion. But those things stick with me harder than some random stranger on the street. Number 10, if they wanted to, they will. And this includes family members, partners, friends. If they wanted to make time for you, they would. If they wanted you to be at that party or be at that occasion or whatever it was, celebration, wedding, whatever, they would give you ample amount of time to make sure you could be there, not give you an invite last minute because somebody canceled and you just happened to fill the position or fill a spot. Relationships, if he wanted to make that effort to make sure that you felt comfortable in a relationship or situationship or whatever you're working towards, they would. For example, Tinder. Set up the scenario, tell him I'm not a hookup kind of girl. He takes it as friends with benefits. I'm not a friends with benefits kind of person. Like, I don't need more friends, and I don't need just this 10% of a relationship or situationship or whatever. For the time being, I'm doing this for you. Like, obviously we're both involved here. You have your funds, but I just, at the end of the day, I want the emotional portion of a relationship obviously with the physical portion. And it's just, I sit there in myself like, well, maybe, you know, down the line he'll want to be in a relationship. No, they don't. But they'll give you everything else and pretend as if that's what you're going to work towards, or, you know, maybe eventually down the line that's what it'll become, or, you know. And then there was another situationship where, like, I knew what it was, but again, I just eventually, you know, I eventually down the line get feelings for this person. Like, I can't just, it's not just physical for me. So all the time, usually I just end up catching feelings. And I just learned at this point, if they wanted to, they would. But anyways, this other guy, we were messing around one day, and my mom wanted, my other foster mom, wanted chocolates. Like, hey, your boy, she kept calling him my boyfriend. I was like, listen, he doesn't want to be my boyfriend. And she's like, yeah, can you get him just to pick up chocolates? And I said, okay, sure, whatever. Dude, just a Hershey bar, it's not even $1. So I asked him, and he's like, why do you want chocolates? Like, why do you? My mom's craving it. You're on your way. Can you just pick up a freaking chocolate? Like, he made a whole big deal about me asking him to get me chocolates. And it's not me. I told him it was for my mom. And he made it seem like I was asking him to propose. Like, and then he looked at me, and I think I started the conversation like, listen, I want to talk or whatever. And then before I even said anything, he's like, wait, you're not catching feelings, are you? I said, no, this is why I wanted to talk to you. This is done. This is done. Like, I can't. Okay, number 11, give people the flowers while they're here. And by this I mean, obviously, cheesy quote, but by this I mean basically appreciate your loved ones for the things they do for you while they're here. Don't wait till they pass away to be like, oh my God, she was such a good friend. Oh my God, she was such a good daughter. Oh my God, she was such a good girlfriend, whatever. No, appreciate me while I'm here, while I'm living, and I can appreciate you appreciating me. So, and it's not even just like going out and buying your significant other a car. It's something little as like, hey, I know this is your favorite TV show. Hey, I know this is your favorite such and such, food, drink, whatever. And you think about them while you're just like at the gas station or whatever. You're like, hey, I know you like this. I just brought it home for you. That's a freaking candy bar. Like, the bare minimum. That enough would have been like, oh my God, you were thinking about me. You care about me. Thank you. So typically, like, another example, you're living with a significant other, and you guys split your chores evenly, and this one takes out the trash and this one does the dishes, but that one day your partner was like, you know what, let me do the dishes for her. Number 12, never say never. Now, am I quoting Justin Bieber and Jaden Smith and that song from that Kung Fu movie? I don't know who made it up. What I mean by this is when people are like, well, oh, I would never be homeless. Oh, I would never do that. Or, oh God, how could you do that? That's none of your business, first of all. But you can't sit here and judge somebody for what they decide to do in a position that you've never been in. So just another example, not to keep bringing her up, but my foster mother had made a comment, oh, I can't understand how people live paycheck to paycheck. I can never do this again, because apparently she bought a pool and that pool took her out for a little bit financially, where she had to do paycheck to paycheck for 1 week. And then she makes the comments, I could never understand how somebody could do this. Ugh, this is awful. This is somebody's daily, this is my, this is 90% of the world, 99, because only 1%, you know, 99% of the population lives paycheck to paycheck, and that's, I can only say it for American standards. 99% of them live paycheck to paycheck. I do that. Like, everyone does that besides the 1%, okay? Somebody's business could be successful one day, and just all of a sudden it can be snapped right away from them, and you could be right next to the person doing paycheck to paycheck that you were sitting here talking down on. So again, you don't know what your position is ever going to be 10, 20 years from now. And again, I'm not saying this to wish ill will on somebody, because I got karma's real, and that's another one, another quote on here. But I don't wish ill will on anyone, because that could come back at you tenfold. It might not be you, but it might be your family member that you're wishing ill will on somebody else, and that same ill will could come back on somebody you love. So, yeah. Number 13, it's kind of within the same vein as number 12, but a little bit different. The same people you see going up as the same people you see going down. Basically, and this is all, again, all ties back to just be nice. Just be kind to other people. Just be nice. Just be respectful. You don't have to treat people less than you because you're in one position compared to the other. You really don't. I've heard and seen so many stories where this person or this celebrity has gone to A-list or whatever, or high status, and they've treated all their people like garbage. Just one example, the Amber Heard trial, right? Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp. Her reputation allegedly is not good with her employees. And who came up to the stand for her? A couple people. The other people she had to pay for, the professional. But the couple people like that came on to stand for her, like her sister or whatever, like she was damn near scared of her own sister. So, and then in comparison to Johnny Depp, where he has people he's worked for, or he has hired people that's worked for him for over 20 years and had nothing but good things to say about him. Yes, he was struggling with his addictions and everything, but he had people, ex-girlfriends, ex-whoever, come up to his stand and defend him. And little Miss Amber Heard, she had barely a couple, two, three people, genuine people. Same thing, like you can't sit here and treat somebody else like trash, especially like waiting staff or whatever, just because you're in a higher position than them. First of all, we all start from somewhere. All of us. And if a lot of people have a leg up, you can't help that, but you can still help how you treat other people. Number 14. Now, I'm pretty sure we've all heard this growing up, and you were tired of it when you were a teenager and you're sick of it. When your parents tell you, you will understand when you're older. It's the truth. I'm sorry. But like your 6, 7, 8-year-old is complaining about why can't they have this such and such toy. They want all the toys in the world, and they tell you, you know, whatever. This is just a minute, insignificant example, but example nonetheless. And they're like, you know what, you'll understand when you're older. And in the parents, some parents, in the back of their mind, they're just like, no, this is teaching you values. This is teaching you, you know, you can't have everything that you want. Everything's not going to be handed to you. And your toys have to be earned. It's just, for one example, a life lesson that your parents are trying to teach you, and they have to teach you because we don't want spoiled brats out here. We have enough of them, entitled, spoiled, have a tantrum just because they don't get their toy. So number 15. I'm sorry if you can hear my bartender. This TV is so loud. Like he needs to get his ears checked. I'm hyphenating the quote, basically walk a mile in my shoes. So my sentiment with that is you can't judge someone's decisions unless you've been in that place or you've been in a similar situation where you've had to make that hard decision. I've heard so many people judging someone else, or why would you do that? Why won't you do this? Like, for example, in emergency situations where somebody's life is, this is an extreme example, but an example nonetheless, when someone's life is at risk and they make a split decision, and that split decision apparently is wrong to someone else, but you weren't there. Let me give a movie example. Sully. If you don't know, the movie basically follows the pilot who landed the plane on the Hudson River, it actually happened in real life. And I don't know much about the actual story. I just watched the movie. But basically, they were trying to prosecute the pilot for landing on the Hudson. They're like, well, you could do this, that, and the third. You didn't have to land on the Hudson. And like the climax of the movie was like, well, listen, you're not factoring in the amount of time it took for me to even make that decision. You're programming this machine when you already knew that this was going to happen. So in Sully's situation, he didn't know this was going to happen. I think some birds flew into the jet. I don't know. It's been a while since I watched this movie. They basically had these simulations like, oh, in all these simulations, you could have successfully gone to another airport. You could have successfully landed here, and whatever. And then Sully goes, well, actually, you're not factoring the time it takes to even make that decision. Because, again, split decision. So they factored in that time difference of the decision-making time that Sully took to make that decision and factored it into the simulation. And guess what? Every simulation after that, it failed. Every simulation after that, the theoretical plane failed to make a successful landing. Obviously, they do train their pilots. If this plane goes down, this is what you can do. You know your equipment, you know whatever. It was a split decision he made and landed the plane successfully. and no one died. So number 16. That stupid saying, sticks and stones will bring my bones, but words will never hurt me. Okay, first of all, that's bullshit. And yes, they can hurt. Okay, speaking from emotional trauma, they can hurt, and they can hurt just as more, if not worse, than the actual physical pain that might be caused to me. Okay, just like the previous examples I've mentioned, and so on and so forth, some of this emotional trauma that I've experienced in my life has stuck with me longer than any of the physical abuse that I have endured. Number 17, everything that glitters is not gold. Now here's the thing. You don't know what somebody has done to get to that position. You don't know if they sold their soul. You don't know if it was genuine success. You don't know if someone helped them out. You don't know what they did to get their little Ferrari, or I'm not belittling Ferraris, but you know what I'm saying, to get their multi-million-dollar house. You don't know what somebody's done to get to that gold, or even if that gold is real, because people be putting up fronts. For example, like the Ace family. There's this family vlogging channel called the Ace Family, and they bought this multi-million-dollar home. They bought 2 mansions and stuck it together and had a wave pool around it. Child, they're bankrupt. they're having to foreclose on their home. They have so many scams that they run on their child Ace fan, which is just horrendous. Number 18, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Like for example, again, I was in a foster home that was, from the outside looking in, you would think, you know, everything's perfect. I've been told actually from the foster mother's best friend, oh, I should be grateful for being there, because not every foster family could provide like she can, and not every foster family does this for their foster kids. But again, back to the example of, she paid for our vacation, and within the same vacation she told me she's not paying for my food because I'm not worth it, and made me pay for my own food. So it's the same family. So again, and I'm not just saying, oh, boo-hoo, you know, she didn't pay for my food. That's just one example of 8 years of being treated like that. And me being told, take it with a grain of salt, you should be grateful that she's even doing this for you, this, that, and the third. The only reason I stayed, for some people, like, why did you stay for so long? Again, I stayed because this was the little family that I had left as far as my blood-related siblings, and I didn't want it to be separated. And I never said anything, because if I did say something, they could have separated me. And I was just thankful and grateful that she took the 3 of us in at the time, because typically when you go into foster care, there was 2 boys and a girl, and they'll either have 2 boys in one home and separate the girl in a completely different home, and you might not even have contact with your siblings. So I knew that possibility even at the age of 12, and for that I stayed silent. Number 19, karma is a bitch, obviously. But I feel like sometimes it's well deserved, and I feel like sometimes you just need to be taught that life lesson. But karma, you know, I feel like some people don't get their well deserved karma, but it comes within time. Sometimes she's patient, and sometimes she takes her time, and sometimes she's on your neck. So you never know. And I'm not saying if a person has any bad doings onto their life, then it's well deserved. Again, everything happens for a reason, and that's another quote. Okay, so number 20. Don't ignore the red flags. Don't overlook the red flags because, you know, you seem happy, and let's, for example, in a relationship, this person do these little minute things to you, and you just overlook it like, oh, it's not that bad. But sometimes it is an abusive partner testing their limits on you and seeing how far you will allow this treatment. Which is kind of another thing, like, again, not another quote that's on the list, but people treat you how you allow them to treat you. And if you allow constant disrespect and physical, emotional abuse, I'm not putting the abuse on the partner that's being abused, but if you continue to allow it to happen and you just say, well, you know, this is a one-time thing, he loves me, da da da. No. 9 times out of 10, the abuse will just continue to happen. Listen to them, trust your gut. Sometimes you don't have that intuition, because sometimes it takes time to develop that. That's myself. I can be very naive sometimes and just try to see the best in everybody and give people the benefit of the doubt and give a lot of people a lot of opportunities. Okay, so number 21. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just because you haven't been caught yet doesn't mean you won't. And just for an example, stealing. Just because you've stolen 18 times from this store and you think you can do it again because they haven't caught you yet, or they haven't said anything, they haven't stopped you, doesn't mean they're not already building a case for you. Because when it comes to retail stealing, like Target for example, they'll let you accumulate all that theft. So the heftier that tag is, the amount of the value of the prices that you're stealing, it gets to a certain amount and they can book you for a felony. It's not going to be a misdemeanor. 22, a life lesson I learned: don't buy a brand new car, especially if it's your first car, because your first car is where you're going to get your most bumps and bruises and scrapes, and because you're learning to drive for the first time. And just statistically, it is a high probability that you will get into a car accident, whether it's, I don't know, I can't say if it's fatal or non-fatal or what have you. You are at a higher risk for getting into a car accident your first year of driving. So whether it's minor, major, whatever, I wouldn't buy $30,000, $45,000 car as your first car. Even if you can't afford it, it's just not worth it. Moving forward, I'm probably just gonna buy an older model, and not even like a 10-year-old model, like even a year older. So this is more of a comment than a life lesson. But when people say, well, why didn't you just sue, or why didn't you just do that? First of all, like I'm gonna quote Miss Mia Khalifa, what 21-year-old has a lawyer on retainer? What? Same thing. It doesn't even matter on like age, 30, 40, 50. Most people, again, 99% of the population does not have the accessible income to hire a lawyer. Number 24, always read the fine print. Now, am I sitting here and talking about the terms and conditions, the 50-page terms and conditions, the Instagram update? No, I can't sit here and tell you I read 50 pages of the Instagram update terms and conditions. Absolutely not. I'm not even going to hold you. But what I am talking about is the actual big ones that you're signing: car loans, prenuptial agreements. Always get a prenuptial agreement, even though, oh, well, what if, we're not going to get divorced, whatever. 50% of marriages end in divorce. Okay, just plan for it. Just plan. Like if you're doing a sponsorship, if like you're in the music industry, obviously, like, do I think you're going to be watching my videos? Absolutely not. But before you sign any musical contracts, sometimes they have these artists built in for 3 albums, but they want to hold up all their freaking album releases for years on end because they want to keep that artist under their contract. It's very grimy, it's very shady, but this is why you need to read your contract. It's not going to be the excuse of, well, I was 21, and you should read. You should read the fine print. And if you don't understand those terms that you're signing, don't sign it. Wait until you, not even get representation, but educate yourself and understand those terms and what this contract is saying. How long is this contract gonna lock me in for, Number 25, we are at the end. This is the last one. I've been talking for quite a while. Appreciate the little things. This kind of coincides with what I said earlier as far as giving people their flowers while they're here. Kind of the same concept, but as far as, bigger is not always better. You can't sit here and compare, oh, well, Kathy's husband got her a brand new cooking mix and all you got me was a chocolate bar. Everybody's financial situations are different. And that's another cheesy quote, don't compare your life to someone else. You don't know, again, how they got to that position. You don't even know if that gift was a push gift, as sometimes people say, like when a girl gives birth, or a wife, or whoever, spouse, significant other gives birth, and then their significant other, partner, whatever you want to call it, gives them a push gift. Sometimes when you don't appreciate the little things, or sometimes you get accustomed to it, and I like to always say thank you, even if it's something small. And again, it's just the genuine effort. I always just say thank you, but sometimes you forget to say thank you, and you might just get accustomed to somebody doing that said deed for you. And once a partner feels unappreciated, then they're gonna stop doing that, and then they're gonna pull away from the relationship. It happens time and time again. I can't say that's my experience. We've only been together for 2 years, but sometimes when couples are in their double-digit year relationship, 10, 20, 30 years, Sometimes people get comfortable, they stop doing the things they used to do, and then they sit here and wonder why their partner is filing for divorce. If you watch this video all the way through, please leave a little birthday cake or balloons or the little celebration emoji, whatever you would like, to let me know you watched this video all the way through. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!